and fools, and you will know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. And you will.
Well, here's our barley field. This would be for the rest of the world, I guess, that keep Passover. For much of the world that keeps Passover, this would be the very last day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread. So, as you can see, zoom down on some of this stuff here. You can see the plants here that we got. This is a barley plant. It's grassy. Looks not much different than grass. It's got a little thicker stalk at the base. And it's all planted through here. Of course, there's some other weeds growing up with it, and some onions and odd things that just grow naturally. But it would be utterly impossible to have green ears of barley before this, obviously, and now. So I'm going to come back and I'm going to look at it at next new moon, and we'll see if we have any green ears of barley then, or if we should wait until the sun is in Aries, as this ministry supposes. Till then, green grass of barley. Well, here we are, back again. This is the new moon, Gregorianly called April the 8th. Some people are calling this the month of Abib, the first day of the month of Abib. I, on the other hand, am not, because in order to have a grain celebration of barley, you have to have grain. And because of that, you can't have a month of Abib when there's no Abib. And Abib means green ears of barley. So I'm coming over here because this is where the barley seems to be flourishing the best in my field. Zooming down in on it. Yep, there it is. There's the barley plant. Any green ears? Nope. Oh, there's a very nicely developed one. You see how the stalk on it? See how it has that stalk? Grainy stalk. Leaf keeps getting out of the way. But still, no ears. No grain. Now this was planted, once again, on the day before the Day of Atonement, on the 7th month of last year, according to the Jewish Rabbinic calendation. Not according to ours, because ours is always about a month or two different on account of needing Abib to actually be Abib. So there you have it. New Moon Report.
Today on the 15th day of what we are referring to as the third natural month, determined by the sun, moon, and stars. There are some people today who call this the Day of Unleavened Bread, and so it is their first month. And the reason we do not ascribe to this is because we do not believe that it is technically Abib, which means green ears of barley. Yet. But, as of today, there has been green ears of barley spotted. Okay, and I'm going to show you some, which means the next new moon, or Kodesh, will be the month, the new moon, of green ears of barley. Because last new moon, that did not occur. Now, it may have occurred in that month, but it did not occur at the right time. So we're going to focus in here on a couple as we find them. Now remember, this is the first day they've been spotted. It's a Sabbath for us of unleavened, or not of unleavened bread yet, and that'll be next month. It is just a general 15th day Sabbath. And you can see that they're much more stocky now, and that the plants are taking on more of the look of a grain. Alright. And as you look around at some of them, I will eventually show you one that I've already found. I'm just kind of capturing some of the looks here. Starting to see them yet? Are you seeing them yet? Oh, let's zoom in. Beautiful. 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 Green ears of barley. Right. Oh, big finger in the way. There. See it? There they are. Good looking stuff. There's a nice close-up of it. Just coming up. There's another one just breaking through. Back up a little on it. Right there. So, this is an Abib. Right there. In front of you. See that? That is a green ear of barley. Brand new. So, what does this tell us as Christian Israelites? It tells us that we can actually have a barley festival now. So next new moon, we're going to have one. And next full moon, which is exactly a month from today, next 15th month, we're going to have our Sabbath, and we will have had Passover the day before. Barley Report, over. There we are at the first day of the first month, according to a biblical calendar. How do we know that? Well, this is a barley report that we have been doing. As you can see, our barley fields have progressed quite well since the last report on the last Sabbath. And these little green ears of barley are, let's see if we can try to get that into view a little bit. It's for some reason hard to zoom up on that right now, but I think you guys can get the idea, anyone who's interested. But that is what green ears of barley should look like right here. That is why we called it Abib. This is Abib. It's a biblically realistic situation we have in front of us. We don't have to force the issue. We don't have to make excuses. The sun is in Aries, according to the lunar month, according to Josephus, book 3, if I remember correctly. And we have the same occurrence happening right now that happened during the time of Christ. No reason to believe any otherwise, as far as I see it. And most importantly, what we have to consider here is that not only is our barley available to be seen to dictate the month, but without barley, you cannot have a barley festival, which is the first fruits. That is the day after the Sabbath of Passover, the day our Lord and Savior resurrected from the dead. And that symbology is drawn from the barley. past that, we also have Pentecost, which is a wheat festival. And the wheat will not be ready for harvest until Pentecost time. Once you align the barley that is sown in the fall, if you remember correctly, this barley was sown. I did it to make a point. I sowed this barley according to the Jewish reckoning, I should say Talmudic reckoning, of the Easter calendar, the calendar the Catholic Church used for Easter, the Jews used for Passover, the international calendar of the church. I sowed it according to their system to make a point that it would not come up by the following year on their time schedule. It would only have enough time that it would come up or I should say not enough time, but the appointed time it would come up. And it would have dictated, no matter what, this happening of grain. It would come up when it needed to come up and appoint to us the next month of Abib in our area, and when we should worship for the Passover. See, the problem is with the feasts is that many people don't believe in keeping feasts anymore because they don't understand the realistic meaning, the realistic interpretation of those feasts. That basically if you don't have grain, barley, or wheat, you cannot have barley and wheat festivals, which is the symbology behind it. And the farmer rejoices every time he gets a harvest. You ask any farmer, sure, the bank subsidized farmers that don't worry about it as much, they end up going broke eventually anyhow, and their insurance companies won't cover them. But even the pesticide-laden grain crops of the United States today, that farmer is happy when he starts bringing in his harvest. And it's a natural, realistic time for people to worship the God of Israel, the God that gives them the harvest. And without remembering these things, it starts making the feasts look like some kind of sacrificial ritual. And it really isn't. Instead of being a ritual per se, it is a celebration that you and your people have another year. And the better the harvest, the better the celebration, undoubtedly. So, this is the first day of the first month. Joshua Somerville Lowther signing off. It is the 29th day of the 12th month. We would call this Gregorianly April the 25th, 2017. Now prior in this report, which has taken a year to put together, I have documented Abib, or Green Ears of Barley, that I grew myself, that you have just watched if you've watched the video all the way through, and you've seen its documentation. Now, last year, where you see these fine goats trotting about, there was a barley field, and we used to walk in that barley field as I showed you the green ears of barley, and they came up. This year, in 2017, exactly a year after this documentary had started, we actually started a little earlier in March, but as far as from a biblical standpoint, a heavenly standpoint, it was in the 12th month we started it. We had barley planted, and I am going to show you what is called volunteer barley. Now, this is the earliest possible barley that could come up. Okay? It sowed itself, that which comes of itself,
among these weeds. Now you can't really see the barley yet because it's real grassy. I haven't planted barley here this year. You're going to start to catch it a little bit, and it's all weeds. Now right here is where the fine picture that you've seen at the beginning of this documentary or record is where that multiflora rose is wrapping, the thorn bush is wrapping around the barley. It was all sown in here then. Okay. But now, these are the volunteers. Ah, there's a fine specimen. Can you see it? There it is. Green ear of barley. Naturally coming of itself. Now this proves something, and this is why this documentary has taken a year to make. Because of the timing in which this was cut, these green ears of barley were cut with a sickle, biblically. We had some of them fall to the earth, as they do, and reseed themselves, but they were not sown in the fall. We would have harvested this barley shortly after the second month before Pentecost, definitely before Pentecost, and it's going to be used, we still have it in storage, to make some brew out of. And because of all of this, it is sown entirely itself. In other words, nature has dictated how this volunteer barley is going to grow. It had all the options and opportunity in the world to grow sooner so that it could be aligned with the common understanding of the month of Abib, which would say that we should celebrate the first new moon after the equinox, which is, I think, the most common, and there's also an even earlier reckoning that's used by some folks that would say that we should use the first full moon after the equinox. Here's a plant that's lagging behind a little bit right there. See that he has not broke forth yet. And so nature, and nature's God, Yahweh, has decided that for this area, if we were to follow the scriptures from a biblically realistic standpoint and want to actually have barley for the month of Abib, that we would have to celebrate it in this new moon coming up tomorrow. It will be the first day of the month of Abib. Hope this documentary has been informative, and that the God of Israel, Yahweh, will bless his people, Israel.
If you continue in my word, then you are truly my disciples, truly my disciples. If you continue in